You call him a child? Did you call the child the word? It is my own business. You call him a Okay, why don't you have the balls to say it right now again? Okay. All right, that's what you say.
You don't go digging through people's you dumb.
Nobody digging through your
A little kid just did, you dumbass.
That little kid, you call him a
Yeah.
The little child?
What if he acts like one? He's gonna.
Are you about to hit him? You chase him here?
He took my son's stuff.
So that gives you the right to call the child, 5-year-old, and the N-word.
If that's what he's gonna act
That's
like.
what you're gonna call him.
That's what he's gonna act like.
You know, that's a hate speech. And you can be recorded for that.
I don't give a
Huh. Okay, we'll see about that, what the internet has to say about you.
What you're about to see is not just another viral moment. It's not just some angry woman yelling in a park. It's bigger than that. It's about the sickness of racism that still shows up in broad daylight, in front of our kids like it's normal. Shiloh Hendrix, a grown white woman, looked at a black child and called them the N-word, in public, loud, proud. Didn't care who was around, didn't care about the impact, didn't care about that child's heart, their dignity, their safety. That child will never forget that moment, and neither will we.
You call him a child? Did you call the child the word?
Yeah, spoiler alert, while I censor it, she uses that word in this video multiple times. Rochester, Minnesota is where this happened. There's a man, we'll just say that he is not white, right? He is at the park with his children. He sees this woman start berating a little black boy, calling him the N-word, and he confronts her.
Did you call him a child? Did you call the child the word? It is my own business. You call him a Okay, why don't you have the balls to say it right now again? Okay. All right, that's what you say.
You don't go digging through people's you dumb.
Nobody digging through your
A little kid just did, you dumbass.
That little kid, you call him a
Yeah.
The little child?
What if he acts like one? He's gonna.
Are you about to hit him? You chase him here?
He took my son's stuff.
So that gives you the right to call the child, 5-year-old, and the N-word.
If that's what he's gonna act
That's
like.
what you're gonna call him.
That's what he's gonna act like.
You know, that's a hate speech. And you can be recorded for that.
I don't give a
Huh. Okay, we'll see about that, what the internet has to say about you.
God help us. She claims that other child took her son's belongings. That's what kicked this off. The guy who recorded the video is familiar with the other child. When he brings his children there, that child and his siblings are often there and play together. The kid she's going after has autism. He doesn't behave in a neurotypical way. And even if he didn't have autism, nothing he could have done would justify her calling him slurs and pursuing him physically, which is what she says she was doing before this guy intervened. He said after he stopped recording, she sat down, hurled more slurs, told him and his wife that they should leave the country, and then got on the phone and acted like she was calling someone to come down there and handle things. Fortunately, no one came, and eventually she packed up her child and left. But this woman is a danger to children. She doesn't need to be on a playground or around other kids. And she has at least one child of her own, which is also concerning.
But now that the internet saw it, now that people are speaking up, guess what Shiloh's doing? She's playing the victim. She says she needs protection for her family. She wants to raise $1 million like she's the one who got attacked. Let that sink in. The woman who shouted racism wants people to fund her hate. That's white supremacy in real time. Loud and shameless. But the story doesn't end there. Because when racism gets loud, we get louder. This is Kiandria Demone, a sister from Atlanta, an entrepreneur, activist, and truth teller. She's made it her mission to call out racists, to shut down these fake GoFundMes, and to hold social media platforms accountable for giving racism a place to breathe. Kiandria is not just talking. She's doing the work. She's putting pressure where it counts and making sure we don't just watch this stuff happen, we act. Because silence is not an option anymore. Not when our kids are being targeted. Not when racists are trying to cash out on hate.
Okay, so I haven't talked about this a whole lot, but I have been so bothered by this. When I say I have been disgusted by this, there was this white woman named Shiloh Hendrix who called a black baby the N-word. And then when she was exposed, she went on to raise, I think it's at $1 million now. She has raised $1 million on this crowdfunding page for calling a black kid the N-word, right? I was so bothered by that, and everybody's like, what can we do? What can we do? Y'all know me for cyberbullying people, but that was not going to be enough. So I'm going to tell y'all what I did, okay? I've been thinking, I've been strategizing, I've been doing a little sleuthing, right? So what I thought about as a business owner, what do I want to hit? Do I want to hit her or do I want to hit the money? So I thought about that. So I started searching and trying to figure out, how can I find this funding source? I'm a business owner, I own a retail store, so I know there is a funding source. There's a pipeline somewhere, right? GiveSendGo is the platform she uses, but they are not the bank. So I thought, like, we got to find a bank. And most banks are not going to want to be attached to something like that, right? Like most banks, especially payment processors, they will cut that shit off with any type of doubt or controversy. They'll usually just cut it off, right? So what I did, I used to be a web developer, so I know how to code and I know how to read code. So I went and I broke down the code on GiveSendGo's checkout page line for line, and there were keywords I wanted to look for, right? So I looked for the keywords and I started looking through the keywords and I found the keyword Block Inc., right? That's familiar, right? Block Inc. is the parent company of Square. So I went and I did my researching, and it turns out, yeah, that's their payment processor. So I'm going to attach and I'm going to share ways we can contact both Block Inc. and Square. So we want to hit both of them so they can't ignore us, right? But there is a process to report stuff like that. And I don't know if they just didn't think we'd find it out, but yeah, we found it out. So I'm going to share how y'all can report. Stop reporting to GiveSendGo. They don't give a They supported Kyle Rittenhouse, the January 6th rioters. That is literally what they do. That platform thrives off hate. So we don't want to hit them. We want to hit the money. And see, GiveSendGo is a for-profit company, and they pretty much can do what they want to do. But when it comes to banking and payment processing in this country, we do actually have laws and regulations surrounding that. So any type of bank or payment processor has to have a clear-cut policy that prevents them from funding hateful things like that. So yes, Block and Square both have policies that prohibit the use of their platform for glorifying or amplifying or profiting off of harassment, illegal activities, racism, and yes, hate speech. So she has violated their policy by even having that campaign. I'm telling y'all, stop playing with black women in business and stop playing with black women in tech, because I know good and well y'all didn't think we were going to look into that.
So I knew where the code would be just because I'm a web developer. Honestly, I've been doing it so long. I've built so many websites. I've looked at so many codes, and I've seen so many checkout pages that it's just kind of second nature to me. You know what I mean? When you have a client who has a certain problem, you'll have to go in there and find that bug, find that glitch, read that code, whatever. I've just been doing that for such a long time. But the fact that I knew we could hold them accountable was because of that research I had to do for my own website a few months back. So I started looking, when I was looking at her campaign, I was just like, I wonder if this can't be okay. You know what I mean? Some stuff, you're like, are they skirting the law? Maybe, but there has to be some sort of loophole. This is not all right. There has to be something preventing them from doing this. So I just started thinking, and I was like, looking at the site, like, is this compliant? Again, because I had to make sure mine was compliant, so I know what to look for. And then I was like, that payment processor, that's who we need to think about. Who is the payment processor? Because that's who we can hold accountable. And because of my web development experience, I knew where to go find that.
She hurled this racial slur at a child and she was filmed. But instead of taking any accountability, she not only played the victim and doubled down, she posted a crowdfunding link and she started collecting donations for this. As far as I know now, it's at $750,000. We are trying to freeze specifically Shiloh's payment that was processed through Block Inc. Square. I'm kind of a troll and I'm really great at it. To be fair, I will only drag racist people and abusers. So I'm just down this rabbit hole. I saw a lot of people saying we want to get their site shut down, right? GiveSendGo. I said, but I want to know, where's the money at? So I started thinking like, there's always somebody with their hand in the pot. Who is the bank? Any sort of scandal, any sort of devastation, especially in this country, there's always a rich white man at the top with his hand in the pot. Looking at like bigger picture, because I want this to be something that is impacting us long term. I want this to be a way of thinking as we're moving forward, regardless of the outcome. It wasn't even just about the money, because it is wrong that they're profiting off of harm. So many people are just sick of these companies profiting off of harm. But it was also about accountability. Somebody has to be held accountable. And in this case, case, I found the person who needed to be held accountable. So if GiveSendGo is not accountable for whatever reason, somebody has to be held accountable. So we're going to figure out who.
Now you'd think after what Shiloh did, yelling racial slurs at a child, people would be shutting her down. You'd think any decent person or company would want to stay far away from that kind of hate. But no, it gets worse. The CFO of GiveSendGo, the same platform she's using to raise that $1 million pity fund, actually came out to defend her. Not the child, not the community she hurt, her. Like she's the real victim, like she's the one who deserves compassion. And this is why we keep saying white supremacy is not just about slurs and viral videos. It's about the systems and people that protect the folks who use them. These platforms don't just sit back. They help fund the hate, and they twist the story to make it seem like accountability is oppression. I want you to watch this CFO talking about Shiloh like she's some poor woman being unfairly targeted. And as you watch, you will see exactly how deep the problem goes.
The co-founder and CFO, Jacob Wells. Jacob, thank you for being with us tonight. I guess I just don't understand why you would want to allow this woman, Shiloh Hendrix, call the little boy the N-word, and the video is just awful. And then in the description on your website backs it up again. Why not just block her? And she's raised almost $1 million, so she's now going to be a millionaire, and that's because of you, it seems like.
Well, it's definitely not because of me. It's because of people donating to her, which I'm not one of them. We're a platform, so people are donating to her from a variety of different places. But the question, the deeper question, one is, why do we allow campaigns that even we sometimes may disagree with? Well, because in America, we have freedoms that came at a very high price. And that was the blood of men and women that gave up their lives so that we could live in a society where even things that we disagree with can be spoken about. But there's also other aspects to this whole thing, which is what do we give to the mob to be able to go after people with a snapshot of their life blown over social media as a way to completely destroy them? And this mob mentality has absolutely ruined so many people's lives over the past several years. And we can actually just look in the recent past. 3 weeks ago in Nevada, a veterinarian who was giving some medicine to a horse kicked the horse, and it was caught on video, and then it was sent live on public social media. And because of the outrage of that brief moment, and this guy who's had a successful career, he goes and takes his life. He commits suicide because of the outrage, because of a social media video clip.
But that's
that
different than the woman. And I get what you're saying, and we're against cancel culture, and I hear you with the veterinarian. But that is different than the woman on camera calling the little boy the N-word.
No, so let's just clarify some of the facts. So one,
but you hear her voice.
No, I'm just going to clarify some of the facts. We don't know the age of this child, so that's contestant rate number one. The boy was rummaging through her belongings, which caused the backlash. So it wasn't like she unprovoked just stepped into a situation and called a young boy a term. It was because this boy, who some people say is as old as 10 years old, was actually stealing from her. And she said, no, that doesn't excuse, I don't condone calling people racial epithets and bad names at all. But there is a place for, there was GoFundMe allowed a campaign for the boy and his family, and it raised $350,000. So is that condoning thievery or stealing? I don't see the outrage against GoFundMe.
I guess I just don't understand how, when you watch that video and then see what she posted on your site, and again, big picture, I hear what you're saying about mob mentality and cancel culture. I do. But that video just bothered me so much. And then to see what she wrote again, I'm just thinking, if I owned the site and I controlled it, you know, you could pick and choose. You could say, this is not good. We're a Christian site. Like, no.
Well, no, that's true. We can pick and choose. And what we realize is that the mission of GiveSendGo is to share the hope of Jesus in dark moments. And we realize that Shiloh is going through a dark moment just as much as this other family is. And we want to be a light in all of these moments. And the way that you approach them,
but it's $1 million. It's money. It's not a lot. You're not going and knocking on her door and saying, hey, let me help you learn how to be a better person. Let's figure out why you use that word. But she's going to get $1 million.
Well, from small donations, average donation size, I think around $30 a person. So not massive amounts by individuals. And that's partially fueled also by the Carmelo Anthony campaign, which you made reference to in the teaser to this. The Carmelo Anthony campaign caused a lot of outrage as well. And we seat ourselves on principle on these issues rather than emotion. You have to take a step back from the emotion of these because they are very highly emotional issues. And you say, what are we going to land on in principle? And in America, we operate on principles and they actually create social fabric unity. And when we undermine those principles for the sake of mob outrage or emotionalism or sensationalism, we actually undermine the principles that hold us together as a culture. So
now here comes the part we've seen 1,000,000 times, the tit for tat game. Instead of just saying, yeah, what Shiloh Hendrix did was disgusting, they want to bring up something else. They're out here trying to compare her racist attack to Carmelo Anthony, like it's somehow the same, like there's a balance to racism. Let me be clear. Calling a child the N-word at a public park is not up for debate. You don't need to bring up nobody else to explain that away. But that's how this works. Instead of holding their own accountable, they deflect, they distract, they try to balance the scale with lies just to avoid saying one simple thing: she was dead wrong. This is the same pattern we've seen before. These fundraising platforms helped raise money for Kyle Rittenhouse, who killed 2 people. They helped raise money for George Zimmerman, who killed Trayvon Martin, a child, and now they're letting Shiloh Hendrix raise money after she verbally attacked another child. The pattern is loud. The hate in America is real. And now there's even talk about whether or not Shiloh actually got the money. Some folks are saying she did. Some are saying she didn't. But the real question is, why is this even a possibility? Why are these platforms still open for people like her to even try to profit off racism? Because in the end, it's not just about her. It's about how these platforms stay in business by turning hate into a hustle.
Hey, you know that fundraiser for Shiloh Hendrix? You know, the racist asshole who screamed the N-word at a 5-year-old? Yeah. GiveSendGo, the CEO, is not in fact freezing the funds at all. And it's gone from 600 to 750,000. And now she's asking for $1 million. And he's going to hold on to it if anything should happen to her. He's going to hold on to it for her. Yeah. Went on national news to discuss this in length. Because she needs a safe place to be for her family. Because that's the timeline we're in, and that's what they voted for. And those are the people that voted him in. People are giving her $10,000, $2,000, $5,000. Yeah, it's insane.
Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of misinformation and confusion circulating this internet, and honestly, TikTok it's the worst with that. It's just become a cesspool of misinformation, right? So I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple of the things that I've seen, and I guess just give a video update for the ones of y'all who obviously are not capable of going and watching the videos or reading this stuff for yourself. Not you, but just in general, right? So this is one of the main things I'm seeing. She's still receiving donations. A lot of y'all caught this story and this campaign and this movement when it went viral, but this is something that we have been working on. We already knew she was still getting donations. That is the whole reason for me looking at their HTML code, because GiveSendGo refused to shut that campaign down. They would not shut it down. So we knew going into this that she was still going to be collecting those donations. What we are doing is trying to stop the bank or stop the payment processor from giving them to her. And we actually were successful in doing that with Square. We boycotted and we pressed and we held them accountable. She collected $600,000. So $600,000 of that she was not able to access. And that CEO of GiveSendGo confirmed as recently as yesterday. He released a statement to the press, and he did an interview where people asked him directly, has she received those funds? And he said no, she has not been paid out as of yet. She has to go through a rigorous verification process. Okay, so look, this is pulled directly from KTTC's website. That's a news platform. And this is from yesterday. He confirmed that she has not received any money from her campaign to date. That was yesterday. Y'all do the math. Like, some of this is not rocket science. Where do you think this rigorous verification came from? Could it possibly be that people are mass reporting them? A lot of the stuff that I used to come to this conclusion, like a lot of the skill and the research, I knew where to look because recently my own business was attacked by racists. So let me explain. I own an online shop. Now, I've been in marketing, web development for like 15 years, but since Kamala Harris announced her campaign, I've kind of ventured into retail and I started making t-shirts with quotes that uplift marginalized voices. We push for social change. You know, we support certain causes, raise money, all of that. That's what I've been doing recently, right? For like maybe the past like 6 to 8 months. And there are a lot of people pissed off by that. Like, we have shirts that are talking about dismantling white supremacy, you know, take down the patriarchy, like calling out blatant racism. We actually push for stuff like that. And there are people who don't like that. So there was this one day where, I don't know when they organized this, but a bunch of racists attacked my business by attacking my payment processor. And this is how they did it. They placed a bunch of large orders at once, like hundreds of dollars at once, and they immediately filed disputes. And if you know anything about business and payment processors, especially a small business, that's like a death sentence when it comes to your banking. All those disputes, 1 or 2 disputes is bad, but multiple at once sends off red flags. So that's what happened. And my payment processor had froze all of my funding, held my funds, would not let me process payments. It was a nightmare. It shut operation down for 2 days and I lost a lot of profit after that. And because of that whole debacle, I was forced to do that research to fix it. So when you have a website that accepts online payments and stuff, there's like, you have to do things to make sure you're compliant, right? So I had to learn a lot about payment processors, compliance, all the federal laws and regulations surrounding that. I had to research that to make sure my business was compliant so that my bank and my payment processor would unlock my funds. They were mocking me. They were sending me messages talking about taking my little black business now. And now look what they are partly responsible for. Because if that had never happened, I knew some about web development, e-commerce, and marketing, but I had never even bothered to research that deeply into those laws until my own money was on the line.
So what did we just witness? A woman who thought it was okay to attack a child with hate, a platform that gave her a mic and a money pot, and a system that keeps making excuses instead of accountability. But we're not surprised. We've seen this before. And we know this ain't just about one woman in a park. This is about how racism keeps getting protected, funded, and excused in this country. The difference now is we're watching, we're calling it out, and we're not letting it slide. Shout out to people like Kiandria Demone who are out here doing the work, standing in the gap, and putting pressure where it matters. Because if we don't protect our kids, if we don't speak out, who will? Don't let this video end with you just feeling angry. Take that energy and do something with it. Share this video, leave a comment, tell your truth, and make sure these platforms and people know the days of quiet racism are over. We see you, we hear you, and we're not backing down. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.